Have you ever woken up and just felt different? Not sick, not exactly tired, just like your body's quietly changed overnight. Maybe your knees speak a little louder when you stand up. Maybe the names of old friends come slower to your lips. Or maybe you just don't feel quite as steady on the porch stairs as you used to. If that's you, or someone you love, you are absolutely not alone. Today we're talking about something that isn't often said out loud but lives in the back of many minds. What really, truly happens once you turn 80? This isn't a scare you silly kind of video. It's not doom and gloom. It's a conversation, a real one, about 8 specific changes that science says almost everyone experiences after 80, whether we like it or not. But here's the good news, each one comes with something you can do about it. And knowing what's happening in your body. That's the first step to staying ahead of it. Because here's the truth, aging doesn't mean disappearing. It means adapting. And the more you know, the more power you have to stay vibrant, independent, and connected. So if you're in your 80s, or you love someone who is, stick with me. Some of these facts might surprise you. Some might comfort you. And a few, especially numbers 6 and 8, might even shift how you view aging entirely. And hey, before we dive in, I'd love to know in the comments, what's one thing you didn't expect about growing older? Let's learn from each other. And if conversations like this help you feel stronger, smarter, or simply more seen, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, Everyday Ageless. It's our little corner of YouTube where aging is something to embrace, not fear. Alright. Let's start with the very first scientifically proven shift. 1. Muscle mass and strength naturally decline, but not your power to fight it. Picture this, you go to open a pickle jar, and suddenly your hands don't feel like yours. Or you step up onto a curb and need just a second longer to catch your balance. These aren't signs that you're failing. They're signs your muscles are asking for more support. After 80, research shows we lose muscle at a faster rate than ever before. It's a condition called sarcopenia, and it doesn't mean you're weak, it just means your muscles need a little more love. Now, here's the part most people don't realize, you can build muscle in your 80s. You really can. I've seen it. I've worked with folks who couldn't lift their own groceries at 82 and were doing wall push-ups by 84. Your muscles aren't gone, they're waiting. The science is simple, our bodies naturally produce less protein as we age, which is what muscles feed on. If you're not eating enough, especially protein-rich foods like eggs, beans, or even a quality protein shake, your muscles slowly shrink. And that affects everything, your balance, your confidence, your independence. Here's a mistake I see too often, thinking you're too old for exercise. No. You might be too old for jumping jacks, but you are not too old to move. Even gentle resistance, like squeezing a softball or rising slowly from a chair without using your hands, builds strength. So today, your action step is this, do one movement that challenges your muscles, just a little. Hold on to the back of a chair and lift your heels. Sit and stand from a firm seat 5 times in a row. Walk just one more house down your block than you did yesterday. That's strength. That's aging well. And remember, this isn't about vanity. It's about picking up your grandchild safely. It's about carrying your own groceries. It's about getting up from the couch without waiting for someone to help. You're not trying to become a bodybuilder. You're protecting your freedom. Let's talk about the brain. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Maybe you've been mid-conversation, and suddenly, the name you were about to say, just vanishes. It was right there, wasn't it? Let me reassure you, this isn't something wrong with you. It's something normal. Your brain, like every part of you, changes with time. After 80, it doesn't stop working, it just works differently. See, cognitive processing speed, the quickness with which we take in, understand, and respond to information, naturally slows down with age. But here's the kicker. Your wisdom, your intuition, your life experience. That doesn't go away. In fact, it becomes sharper, more refined. There's a myth that forgetting a name means you're on the road to dementia. That's simply not true. Memory lapses in aging often come down to distraction, fatigue, or even dehydration, not disease. The brain after 80 is still learning, still adapting, still building new pathways. That's called neuroplasticity, and yes, it still happens, even now. Let me tell you about Frank. 84 years old, a retired teacher. He started misplacing his keys, losing track of appointments. His family worried. But it turned out, he'd stopped reading, stopped doing crossword puzzles, and had fallen into a routine with no mental stimulation. All he needed was challenge. So, he picked up Sudoku, rejoined a book club, and guess what? His recall improved. His confidence returned. His smile did too. If you're wondering what you can do, start simple, learn something new. A card game, a few words of a new language, or a short daily brain teaser. Keep your mind moving. Even engaging in conversation, yes, like this one, lights up your neural networks. And don't forget the basics. Omega-3s from flax or fish, good quality sleep, movement, and, perhaps most importantly, connection. Loneliness is poison to the brain. Keep talking. Keep laughing. Keep asking questions. Because that spark in you, it's still there. And just ahead, we'll talk about something else that affects how you interact with the world every day, your senses. Now, let's step into the world of vision and hearing. Imagine this. You're sitting in your favorite chair. The sun's coming in through the window just right, you're reading the paper or scrolling through a few photos, and suddenly, the words blur. You squint. You adjust your glasses. And you wonder, when did this get harder? Or maybe you're at a family gathering, and you hear laughter, but you didn't catch the joke. You smile anyway, pretending, not wanting to ask someone to repeat it. Again. These aren't just little inconveniences. They're deeply emotional shifts. Because when you can't fully see or hear the people around you, it can feel like the world is pulling away. But here's something powerful, these changes are expected, and often treatable. Most people over 80 experience something called presbycusis. A fancy word for age-related hearing loss. And macular degeneration, which affects the center of your vision, becomes more common. But these don't have to rob you of connection. One big myth is that hearing aids are only for people on the way out. Not true. Modern hearing technology is subtle, smart, and life-changing. And getting your hearing checked yearly can prevent further cognitive strain, because yes, your brain has to work overtime when it can't hear clearly. Vision-wise, one of the simplest fixes is lighting. Bright, natural light. Increase it where you read, cook, or write. Also, check your prescription regularly. Glasses that were perfect 3 years ago may be slowing you down now, and you don't even realize it. And here's a small tip, contrast helps. Use dark cutting boards for light-colored foods. Choose books or devices with larger fonts and high contrast settings. These little tweaks add up to make your world feel clear and navigable again. I met Irene, a lively, spirited woman of 87, who told me she stopped going to her knitting group because she couldn't see the patterns clearly anymore. Turns out, all she needed was a magnifying lamp and updated lenses. She's back at it now, leading the circle. So if you've been quietly avoiding things you once loved because seeing or hearing them isn't easy anymore, please, don't wait. You deserve clarity. You deserve connection. And you deserve to enjoy every color, every melody, every word of this beautiful life. Let's talk about something that affects almost every part of your day, even though it happens at night. Sleep. If you're waking up at 3 a.m. on the dot, struggling to fall back asleep, or finding that naps come easier than a full night's rest, you're not imagining things. This isn't just insomnia. It's a natural shift in your body's internal clock, something researchers call a circadian rhythm shift. And after 80, that rhythm can feel more like jazz than a steady beat. The body produces less melatonin with age, that's the hormone that tells you it's time to wind down. Add in more nighttime bathroom trips, joint discomfort, maybe even the aches of loneliness, and suddenly, restful sleep becomes elusive. But here's the part that surprises people: sleep is not less important now, it's more. Your brain clears toxins while you sleep. Your muscles repair. Your heart rate lowers. Sleep is healing. Without enough of it, your memory, your mood, even your immune system take a hit. One common mistake: napping too much during the day, especially late in the afternoon. It feels good in the moment, but it can rob your body of deeper nighttime rest. Another mistake is relying too heavily on screens or television late into the evening. Blue light from screens can suppress what little melatonin your body is still trying to make. So what can you do? Here's what I tell the folks I coach. Treat sleep like a sacred ritual. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Get at least 15 minutes of sunlight in the morning to reset your internal clock. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., and keep your bedroom cool, quiet, and dark. If you need sound, try soft ambient noise, rainfall, ocean waves, or calm instrumental music. And if your thoughts keep racing at night, try journaling before bed. Write down your worries. Or your gratitude. It gets them out of your mind and onto paper, where they belong. I once worked with a woman named May. She was 86, feisty, funny, but constantly tired. We adjusted her schedule, reduced her afternoon naps, and added a short walk after dinner. Within 2 weeks, she called me and said, "I didn't think I could feel rested at this age. I thought that part of life was over. But it's not. Not at all." So, if your nights have become restless, be patient with yourself. Your body is still trying to care for you. It just needs a little help. And speaking of care, let's move to something central to your very life, your heart. You know that feeling when you walk just a bit too fast, maybe across the grocery store parking lot, and suddenly you're catching your breath? That tiny voice inside you whispers, "Was it always this hard?" Well, you're not imagining that either. After 80, the heart undergoes quiet, steady changes. The walls of your arteries stiffen. Your heart muscle might not pump quite as strongly. Blood flow can slow down. It's like asking a vintage car to run at full speed every day. It still works, but it needs more time and care. But don't mistake this for weakness. Your heart has beaten over 3 billion times by now. It's carried you through joy, heartbreak, birth, death, and decades of love. It's been working non-stop since the day you were born. And now it's asking you to listen a little more closely. Here's what often goes unnoticed: many people chalk up fatigue, shortness of breath, or dizziness to just getting older, when in fact, it could be the early sign of something more. High blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, or simply poor circulation. And while those words might sound scary, here's the upside: there's so much you can do. Let's start with the simplest: move. Walking. Stretching. Seated chair exercises. These gently encourage your blood vessels to stay flexible and your heart to stay strong. You don't need a gym membership. You need consistency. Next, what you eat matters. The DASH diet, rich in vegetables, lean protein, whole grains, and low sodium, has been shown to reduce blood pressure and lower risk of heart disease. Even something as small as swapping salt for herbs or switching to whole grains can make a difference over time. And don't forget hydration. Yes, even at 80. Dehydration can increase heart strain and lead to dizziness or fatigue. If you're not sure you're drinking enough, try setting a goal of 5 to 7 cups a day. Even herbal tea counts. I'll never forget Charles, an 85-year-old veteran who always pushed through fatigue. He didn't want to complain. But when we looked at his daily routine, he was drinking almost no water, skipping breakfast, and avoiding walks because of foot pain. With a few small changes. Shoes that fit properly, morning hydration, and a daily walk to his mailbox, his blood pressure came down, and his energy came up. Sometimes, health doesn't require overhauling your life. It just requires noticing, and choosing one step at a time. And that brings us to something that might not show up in your muscles or your blood, but in your heart in a different way. Up next, we're going to talk about loneliness. And connection. And what happens to your spirit, not just your body, after 80. Because aging is more than physical. Let's take a breath here. Because the next part of this journey isn't about your bones or your memory, it's about something quieter. Something that often goes unnoticed until it settles deep into your days. You see, once you hit 80, the world doesn't always move at your pace. Friends pass. Family members get busy. Your calendar isn't as full. And slowly, without meaning to, you might find yourself spending more hours alone than with people. It's easy to tell yourself, I'm fine. I've always been independent. But the truth is, humans were never meant to live in isolation. And after 80, the impact of loneliness isn't just emotional, it's biological. Studies show that social isolation increases your risk for heart disease, cognitive decline, depression, and even earlier mortality. In fact, chronic loneliness can be as damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's the hopeful part, you don't need 100 friends. You just need a few meaningful connections. Let me tell you about Jim. He lost his wife at 81. His kids lived across the country, and his days became painfully quiet. But one morning, after watching a video just like this, he walked into a local senior center. No expectations. Just curiosity. Today, he plays dominoes every Thursday, leads the coffee group on Mondays, and volunteers on weekends to read to children at the library. Jim didn't just fill time. He found purpose again. So ask yourself, who haven't you called in a while? What community space could you explore, even just once a week? Could you start a group text with your kids or grandkids, or join an online community that speaks to your passions? You don't have to be surrounded. You just have to be seen. And as we shift from social connection to something even more tender, I want to talk about what I call the heart of aging, something not many people prepare you for. Have you noticed how emotions hit differently these days? A kind gesture makes your eyes well up. A story on the news stays with you longer. Maybe you find yourself looking back on your life, not with regret, but with this quiet kind of awe. Like, how did all those years pass so fast? This is part of aging, too. It's not weakness. It's depth. It's your emotional lens becoming more vivid, more open. After 80, many people become more introspective. Hormonal shifts, spiritual questioning, life review, it all starts to come to the surface. And with it, an increase in emotional intensity. Not because you're fragile, but because you're finally seeing what matters most with crystal clarity. There's a myth that crying or being emotional is a sign of fading strength. But honestly, it's a sign of awakening. I once sat with a woman named Helen. She was 89. She told me, I've lived long enough to know the only thing that really matters is love. Giving it. Receiving it. Saying it while you still can. So let those tears come. Let the joy come, too. Journal your memories. Talk to someone who listens without judgment. And if the weight of reflection feels too heavy, therapy is not just for the young. You're allowed to process. To grieve. To celebrate. Your emotions now. They're not breakdowns. They're breakthroughs. And finally, let's touch on something that impacts all the above, your immune system. After 80, your immune system naturally begins to slow. It's called immunosenescence. A fancy term that simply means your body isn't as quick to fight off illness as it used to be. Colds last longer. Cuts take more time to heal. Vaccines may not feel quite as effective. And something like the flu can turn serious, fast. But here's the empowering part, you're not helpless. Your immune system, even now, responds beautifully to care. Eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, especially leafy greens and berries, fuels your cells with antioxidants. Getting outside, even for 15 minutes, boosts vitamin D, which helps regulate immune response. Prioritizing sleep, movement, and hydration all give your body what it needs to keep defending you. And don't underestimate the power of laughter. Of music. Of joy. Those aren't indulgences, they're medicine. I once met Walter, 90 years old, who swore by his daily routine: 1 walk, 1 bowl of soup, 1 crossword, and 1 good laugh. He hadn't been sick in years. Coincidence? Maybe. But I think his body felt loved. And when your body feels loved, it responds. So yes, the immune system changes. But your choices still matter. You still matter. Now, let's step back and take a breath. Because we've covered a lot today. 8 powerful, scientifically backed changes that most people experience after 80. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. To honor what's real. And to remind you that none of this makes you any less strong, capable, or whole. Here's what I hope you take away: you are not broken. You are not fading. You are evolving. Your body is adapting. Your heart is softening. Your mind is still firing. And your soul, it's just as bright as ever. If you've made it this far into the video, I want to thank you, from my heart. You've invested in yourself today. You've chosen awareness over fear. And that means something. So I have a gentle question for you: which of these changes have you seen in your own life, or in someone you love? Tell me in the comments. Let's make this space one of shared wisdom. And if you felt comforted, seen, or motivated by this conversation, I'd love for you to click that like button. It helps more people find everyday Ageless, and join us on this journey of vibrant, empowered aging. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. We're just getting started. Before we go, I want to leave you with this. You don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. George Bernard Shaw. There's joy left to feel. There are jokes to laugh at. Books to read. Sunsets to watch. There's still someone who needs your story. There's still someone waiting for your smile. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep choosing to live, fully, brightly, agelessly. And if you're wondering what to do next, our next video is all about the top foods to eat after 80 to strengthen your heart, boost your brain, and stay sharp and mobile.